Okay, I'm unmuting. Well, thank you all for being here, and I'm looking forward to hearing your poems. When I finish up, I'm gonna read a little bit from this book about, it's called What Just Happened, 210 Haiku Against the Trump Presidency. And thought today would be a good day to do that. I had an online reading with Chaucer's, and so I'm gonna try and not repeat what I did there. So I will also then read from Dance You Monster to My Soft Song. But I'm going to start by reading the year 2017 from this collection of haiku. So basically I have one haiku for every week of Donald Trump's presidency. And I'm, rather than like just tell you 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm gonna read the seasons, winter and so forth, and then I'm just gonna kind of read it as one long poem. It should take about 6 minutes or so. So this is it, 2017 winter, and here we go. Alternative facts make their first of many star turn appearances. No, says Enrique Peña Nieto, Mexico won't pay for the wall. Neil Gorsuch will fill a seat that has been empty for almost a year. Close call on school choice zealot Betsy DeVos. Mike Pence breaks the tie. The president tells Comey, R.E. Flynn, I hope you can let this go. Jeff Sessions backs new private prisons. Invest now in concrete and steel. The ethics course for all new White House staff is eliminated. Spring. Kellyanne trumpets Ivanka's failing fashion line on Fox and Friends. Rachel Maddow airs leaked tax returns. Pretty sure he's no billionaire. Is Devin Nunes a better dairy farmer than a spy? Barely. Wielding a Bible, Sessions calls sanctuary cities immoral. The president looks uneasy walking with Xi at Mar-a-Lago. We're like your taxes, unpaid, an activist claps back on tax March day. He forgets to place his hand on his heart, a nudge from his annoyed wife. Media outlets like MSNBC are fake news. They're fake news. Obamacare is a lie, and it is dead, he opines on Twitter. For refusing to admit his errors, Comey is canned on TV. He snags the collar of Abdul Aziz al-Assad and signs an arms deal. We must take our fate, grumbles Angela Merkel, into our own hands. A self-inflicted major economic wound. Au revoir, Paris. Summer. 5 months gone, his wife and son finally move in. No one's overjoyed. Super cautious Robert Mueller investigates. Does he dare eat a peach? Carbon dioxide does not cause climate change, says expert Rick Perry. Mounting the rostrum, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, furious in pearls. What was said in that very private tete-a-tete with smirking Putin? Don Jr., a high quality person known for his transparency. Scaramucci on Steve Bannon. I'm not trying to suck my own cock. At the Jamboree, a scout is loyal. We could use some more of that. Look at Hillary Clinton's 33,000 deleted emails. Of Charlottesville, he remarks, there were very fine people on both sides. After Charlottesville, even the CEOs need to take a breather. Sheriff Joe accepts his pardon like any red-blooded patriot. Post Harvey comments, they were just happy, it's nice, it's been beautiful. Fall. In the gutter, handwritten on a wet cardboard sign, defend DACA. Excellent news, Mar-a-Lago is unhurt by Hurricane Irma. At the UN, bright blue tie and a promise to destroy Rocket Man. NFL players taking a knee, he'd fire the proud sons of bitches. In Puerto Rico, hurricane survivors get a gift, paper towels. The president dares Tillerson, compare IQs. I'm not a moron. The pregnant Gold Star widow is scolded. He knew what he signed up for. Melania, eat lunch with someone you don't know. Be kind, don't bully. Manafort and Gates are charged with conspiracy, but no collusion. In indigo silk shirts, he and Putin look dressed for Christopher Street. A grin, skin pockmarked, Duterte extends a moist hand and he shakes it. Born magnanimous, with a wave, he pardons this year's turkey, drumstick. At an observance honoring Navajos, a Pocahontas joke. Winter. At what cost the new capital of Israel? Oh, Jerusalem. Roy Moore's too loathsome even for Alabama. I knew he would lose. The gingerbread White House in the East dining room is melting, melting. Poor Barron, awkward, tall and shy, endlessly in his father's shadow. So that's year 2017, and the book is divided into 4 years with a little left over. I gave it to a friend in New York, and he said it's the perfect ride book for my subway ride home from Manhattan to Brooklyn. That's like a 20-minute read. I think he was suggesting. So I gave you the slow version of the book. So anyway, that is that, and I want to turn now, and I'd like to read 4 poems from Dance You Monster to My Soft Song, and I'll say just really a quick word about Future Cycle Press. It's an interesting press. Phil and Marcia, you also know this from running a small press. You don't make a lot of money. Nobody makes a lot of money from a small press at all. And one of the things that Chris and I found as so sort of time consuming is paying out the royalties. And often they're like, $8.06 or whatever. So what Future Cycle does is they publish a 1 book a month. So they have a pretty active publishing schedule. And then at the end of the month, they have previous winners of this prize pick a book, and then that person gets 20% of all the money that all the books made over the course of the year. So it's more money than I've ever made on a book of poetry, I must say. But of course, you know, if you don't win, you don't get anything. You just have to buy your books and sell them, you know, to whomever. So anyway, that's this, and I'm really pleased to have been selected. So again, I'm going to read 4 poems, and I'm going to start with one that has an epigraph from Evan Boland, the Irish poet, and it's from her poem Misha Era, which is I Am Ireland. And so I grew up in the northeast part of Sacramento, and my poem is called I Am North Highlands. I stay away from the cars parked on the street and on the desiccated lawns, from the pale blue 68 bug rusting in someone's driveway, next to a speedboat and a disused washing machine, from mulberry and olive trees and the white flowered oleander, and the tire swing hanging from a willow oak, and sour gums shriveling for lack of water. I won't go home to the plastic lawn chairs tipped over on the back porch, the back fences falling down, the doughboy pool filled with rotting leaves, the doll with a missing head, the tricycle with only 2 wheels, the punctured basketball. I prefer a full night's sleep to 3 Harleys idling at the corner at 2 a.m., a semi rumbling to life at 4. No, I'll stay away precisely because the place is as much a part of me as the Doberman Shepherd mix barking incessantly in the side yard, the American flags fluttering above the weeds, the Christmas lights that hang all year from unpainted eaves. Because the words I can't keep from my mouth clot my tongue whenever I want to wax eloquent about virtue and vice, justice and theology, necessity and contingency. Whenever, in short, I want to rinse the ash and offal from my tongue and talk about anything but the same old shit. And so now I'm actually gonna ask you guys, if you've got several windows open or if you have your phone handy, to type in the title of this book and then the artist, the Swiss artist Paul Klee, K-L-E-E, so you can see the image that I'm writing about. So it's just, if you type in Dance You Monster, My Soft Song, and then K-L-E-E, it should come up, so you have a little sense of what I'm writing about. You're never supposed to do this, right, Phil? Is tell people to look at the internet. Okay, here I go. Dance You Monster to My Soft Song, after Klee. Candles burn in a menorah atop a rickety spinet. Music clanks and rolls from the keys, quiet yet cacophonous. Just the sort of tune to make a monster rise from the earth and waggle its tiny feet. Sway and twirl, you comic beast of dreams. You with your bright pink penis nose, your wide and unbelievable eyes. And I'm going to read an elegy dedicated to a neighbor of mine. Tom Post was a local artist here in the unincorporated section of Santa Barbara where I now live. And it's called The Walking Man, and you'll understand why. In Memoriam, Tom Post, 1942 to 2018. In my neighborhood, he was known as the Walking Man. an early riser gliding up the steepest streets as though gravity had never been invented. On our way to work, we'd see him as the sun crept over the roofs of our ranch houses, ascending Camino Manadero or cutting across Camino Cerralvo, his hand raised in a friendly hello to every passing car. You might have thought he was too pleasant to be an artist, but you'd learn how wrong you were the moment you looked upon his paintings. Ambiguous, yet certain about the qualities of color, and how things half-formed and changing constitute our greatest hope. You'd see it in canvas after canvas, the way the world works its magic on us, like a lazy scrawl of cirrus across the horizon, dawn morphing into brighter day. Thank you. And I'm going to finish with, I think this is Peg's favorite poem, A Brief History of My First Marriage. So it sounds funny, but it's totally depressing. Okay, it's divided into sort of selected years. A Brief History of My First Marriage, 1988. The year George Herbert Bush was chosen to take Ronald Reagan's place, she and I finally united our two incompatible states with vows of wedlock. A broken clock didn't tick on the walls of the Sacramento County Courthouse. Beneath it, a large framed photograph of two gophers in nuptial attire. It felt like we were applying for a building permit. Nothing about that afternoon seemed right. Just a slow, creeping sense hell was inching closer. We spent our lone honeymoon night at the Red Lion Inn. 1991. In South Carolina, we rented a brick house across from the Greenwood Baptist Church. A yard for the kids and the mutt she'd rescued from the fire station where the firemen were stoning it. Moss covered the roof. I'd sometimes ascend to drink a beer while she yelled in the rooms below. If I was lucky, the squeaking of the rusty attic vent would deaden her voice. A few blocks away, the glow and rumble of traffic on Clawson Road. Pine needles fell like her tears, routinely and thick enough to blanket the ground. Every morning I had to recommit to a future in which I was there. 1993, finally a diagnosis. Rapid cycling bipolar disorder with ultradian rhythms. Our muddled, angry life had a name. And so our unhappy family scraped by just. The checkbook never balanced. We used the gas card for bread and milk. The pre-recorded church bells chimed. Our 72 Mercury blew a head gasket and expired. Meanwhile, the doctor tinkered unsuccessfully with her meds. One day she'd be almost fine. The next, she'd be crying uncontrollably, flinging plates against the wall. 1994, she tried to kill herself by gulping a fistful of Ativan and Effexor while A Trip to Bountiful played on the VCR. Frantic, I half carried her to the car and they drove her to the hospital. While they pumped her stomach, I read a 1976 edition of Reader's Digest, Arthur Mitchell's Dance to Glory, and why Jimmy Hoffa had to die. When they let me in to see her, a plastic tube full of black bile was poking from one nostril. Her face was red as raw steak. The nurse told her, "It's okay, hon. We all make mistakes." 1998. Suddenly I began weeping. Back porch of my parents' home, August, a few days before returning to Illinois. A dog barked. The sprinklers in the neighbor's yard came on. The grief seeping for years had finally burst. I told them I couldn't be married anymore. They weren't surprised. Immediately, we began plotting my getaway. The kids came outside, sensing something astray. But I couldn't go through with it. Guilt and practicalities. The only affordable place I could find in the western suburbs was a studio apartment overlooking a tollway embankment. Wherefore, we remained entangled like coiling kudzu vines. 2000, in April at a conference, I met someone else. Not love, but true love. Without hesitation, I told her I was moving out. I threw my 40 cents into the final basket on the east-west tollway and drove like hell for California. She wanted me in a casket, buried with my new trove of happiness. The war was on. Her paramount objective was to drag me down into her sea of hatred. My only goal was not to drown. Well, thank you so much. And I am going to mute myself and become a listener to your poems.